At 2 a.m., in the pitch-black sky over the Persian Gulf, an Israeli Air Force F-35 Lightning fighter takes off in deadly silence. The F-35 fighter jet is a product of the West's most sophisticated aerial technology. It's recognized as a symbol of NATO's air power and is American-made. But why do we say NATO? Because America also sells it to NATO member countries. And as you know, America is the primary backer of these NATO allies. With stealth capabilities, advanced sensors, digital networking, and the ability to conduct deep penetration operations, this fighter was supposed to strike unseen and return. However, when it approaches Iran's borders, everything changes. In U.S. military exercises in the Persian Gulf, it has been repeatedly observed that F-35s fly while maintaining a safe standoff distance from Iran's borders. No penetration, no overflight, just surveillance from afar. In some instances, their flights were even halted or their routes altered due to stern warnings from Iran. But the question is, why doesn't a fighter with radar-evading technology dare to approach Iranian airspace? Is Iran's propaganda about its indigenous systems merely for show? Or are there truly systems silently monitoring the skies deep within Iranian territory, forcing the West to retreat? We will proceed with this detailed and documented investigation. Based on open-source data, official statements, leaked reports, and field intelligence, we will show that F-35s do not approach the Iranian border, not due to political expediency, but because of a genuine threat. This threat is not a blind shot, but a combination of stealth detection capabilities, indigenous active phased array radars, and missiles with ranges up to 300 kilometers hidden in the mountains, ready to fire at a moment's notice. But Iran's first warning to an F-35 dates back years. The Persian Gulf has long been the scene of a silent confrontation between Iran and the United States. Although no direct conflict has occurred, an intelligence, reconnaissance, and warning battle is underway at the highest possible level. One of the most sensitive of these encounters involved the flight of a U.S. Air Force F-35 fighter near Iran's airspace. This flight, conducted under the guise of a naval maneuver, advanced to within nearly 70 kilometers of Iran's southern borders. But what happened next surprised American commanders. According to an unofficial report from a regional security media outlet, Iran's Air Defense Command Center, using passive non-emitting reconnaissance systems that receive emissions from the F-35, pinpointed the fighter's position with high accuracy. Moments later, an Iranian officer transmitted a short sentence on the International Military Emergency Frequency. "Unidentified aircraft at position X, we are tracking you. Change your course immediately." To their astonishment, the fighter immediately diverted from its course and returned to the U.S. naval base in Bahrain without any reaction. No technical warning had been received from the F-35 itself. This meant Iran's warning wasn't issued by conventional radars, but by another system. A system the West did not anticipate. American commanders realized that the F-35, which was supposed to be unseen, had been seen in Iranian skies. Not by Western or NATO radars, but by an indigenous and independent Iranian network, about which, I stress, no information is available. This incident sent a clear message to the Americans. Not only can Iran see the F-35, but it will not allow it to penetrate or even come close to Iranian airspace. But then, some might ask, how did Israel manage to strike towards Iran, supposedly involving F-35s? According to the Israelis' own information, no fighter jet entered Iranian airspace, not even coming within 70 kilometers of the Iranian border. They fired their cruise missiles from a great distance and returned. And here, let's be truly unbiased. The problem for Iran in that instance lay in its air defense system's capabilities against cruise missiles. They couldn't shoot down the Israeli cruise missiles launched by F-35s. Of course, I should tell you, Israel always engages in information censorship or disinformation, claiming, "We fired this many missiles and this many hit their targets." But what was clear, for example, was that if 100 missiles were claimed, perhaps 80 were intercepted and 20 hit targets. And why the lies about hits? This demonstrated a weakness in the air defense systems that should have intercepted cruise missiles. However, it's perfectly evident that Iran possesses the capability to counter F-35s with its radar systems. It's very interesting. Israeli F-35s can go wherever they please, bomb targets, and return. But according to their own information, they didn't even enter Iranian airspace and fired their missiles from a distance. This itself is indicative and speaks volumes. Detecting a stealth fighter like the F-35 is not a simple task, even for the world's most advanced air defense systems. But Iran, through its strategic reliance on indigenization and the combined use of modern and passive tools, has succeeded in becoming one of the few countries capable of detecting the path and even the exact model of stealth fighters. In this section, we take a specialized look at the three main pillars of this capability. First, indigenous active phased array radar. In recent years, Iran has introduced several types of phased array radars, among which systems like Nazir, Kavosh, Safir, and three-dimensional radars such as Sorush, Gadir, and another, Kavosh, hold a special place. These radars, with the ability to detect stealth targets at long distances, up to 400 kilometers in some cases, are capable of detecting, tracking, and engaging fighters like the F-35. One of their prominent features is the use of multiple frequency bands simultaneously to detect the faint radar reflections from the F-35's airframe. Next are signals intelligence, SIGINT, and passive radar systems. Iran has long pursued the use of passive systems, that is, systems that identify enemy assets by receiving the emissions they radiate, without transmitting any waves themselves. Although the F-35 is built for stealth, it must use digital and communication links to communicate with satellites, bases, or other aircraft. Iran, using SIGINT and signal analysis systems like SAMET, SAYAD, or other undisclosed systems seen in exercises, can pinpoint the exact location of fighters without active radar. This is the power of Iran's radar and monitoring capabilities. We have given a series of instructions to our units. For example, we've said that if an aircraft under these conditions with this particular status enters this zone or gets this close, issue a warning. If it enters further, engage and shoot it down. The next is combined, layered, and network-centric coverage. The strength of Iran's air defense lies not in a single system but in an interconnected network of short, medium, and long-range radars, passive systems, and even optical sensors. This network, supported by systems like Bavar 373, Sevam Kordad, Tabas, and even the Army's indigenous systems, can simultaneously detect, track, and threaten or destroy a target. In effect, when an F-35 flies towards the Iranian border, it faces multiple lines of sight and multi-layered detection systems, making a silent return difficult for it. The F-35, as America's most modern fifth-generation fighter with the ability to carry stealthy armaments, is designed to penetrate deep into enemy territory unseen. But in Iran's case, this approach has changed. The reality is that America has never used the F-35 to penetrate Iranian skies, even during the most severe tensions. And this itself carries the biggest message. The reason for this retreat is clear. Iran's dense air defense network has turned into a kill zone for enemy fighters. But what is a kill zone? In military literature, a kill zone is an area where, if an enemy aircraft enters, its probability of survival is very low. Iran, with its combined coverage of systems like Bavar 373, Sevam Kordad, 15th of Kordad, multiband and multi-purpose radars, and concealed systems in defensive positions and fortified mountains, has managed to create a ring of death and early warning. When an F-35 approaches Iran's borders, it is forced to fire from that distant standoff range, launching missiles like the AGM-158JASSM, or smart cruise missiles, or not enter the area at all. Because its stealth is no longer an advantage against Iran, Iran sees it. Entering Iranian airspace means coming under the simultaneous fire of multiple systems. The F-35 is not designed to evade multiple simultaneous missile attacks, and Iran has the capability to do this and destroy it. Even recent US and Israeli air combat exercises have simulated engagements at long distances from Iran's borders. Their fighters practice how to launch cruise missiles from distances of 300 to 400 kilometers and immediately leave the area. No penetration, no reconnaissance, no low-altitude attacks. This doctrinal emphasis signifies an acceptance of a reality. Iran cannot be caught by surprise, neither by drones nor by F-35s. For now, cruise missiles have been effective. Perhaps a question that occupies many minds is how Iran can send warnings to fighters like the F-35. When a stealthy and modern fighter enters the vicinity of Iran's border, is Iran merely an observer? The answer is a resounding no. When Iran's air defense system detects a stealth fighter like the F-35, in many cases, it immediately achieves a radar lock. This means an air defense missile is ready to fire. The enemy fighter, through its internal warning systems, becomes aware that it has been detected and is in the crosshairs. This message is relayed not only to the pilot, but also to the U.S. command center. A simple alarm sounds in the pilot's cockpit, signaling that a radar lock has been achieved on them. Whether a missile has also been fired is not indicated. That decision rests with Iran and the country that initiated the approach. This is the moment the F-35 pilot has to decide: flee or face destruction. Time and again, Iran's air defense has warned approaching aircraft via radio messages in English. Unidentified aircraft approaching Iranian airspace. Change your course immediately, or you will be targeted. This message has been recorded multiple times at U.S. and Israeli air bases. One of the lesser-known incidents relates to the autumn of 2022, when Western sources reported a U.S. F-35 conducting a reconnaissance flight near the Persian Gulf. After receiving a radar lock from Iranian air defense and a radio warning, it immediately changed its course. Some sources even claimed that the activation of the F-35's electronic countermeasure system indicated a real possibility of a missile launch, but they did not fire. We must not forget that air defense is not just technology, it's also psychological warfare. When a NATO pilot knows their fighter has been detected, has a radar lock on it, and there's a possibility of being shot at, they lose the courage to penetrate. Iran's air defense, alongside its technical capabilities, has created a no-fly zone for the enemy by instilling a constant sense of danger. Before the final summary, let's briefly review the main pillars of Iran's air defense and radar systems, the very ones that have made fifth-generation fighters like the F-35 hesitant to approach Iran's borders. First, we know Bavar 373, comparable to the S-300 system but entirely indigenous, and said to be a cut above it, more advanced and developed. Its engagement range is stated as over 300 to 350 kilometers. It has the ability to detect stealth targets and can simultaneously engage multiple targets at different altitudes and ranges. Then there's Sevam Kordad, a medium-range system with a rapid response, its capability proven by shooting down the RQ-4 Global Hawk drone in 2019. Its engagement range is up to 75 kilometers. It has high precision and can counter high-speed targets. Rad, Tabas, and Talash are medium to long-range air defense systems that also have the capability to operate within an integrated air defense network. Iran also has many radars, such as the Qadir radar, with a range of 1,100 kilometers, capable of detecting stealth and ballistic targets, the Matla-ul Fajr radar, and the Najm 802 radar, which can detect low-altitude and small targets. By combining indigenous technology, operational experience, and smart network design, Iran has succeeded in creating a multi-layered and deep air defense shield that no fighter, not even the F-35, dares to approach. When an F-35 faces a radar lock, hears a warning over the radio, knows Iran's radars see it, and systems like Bavar 373 are ready to fire, they prefer to launch missiles from a safe distance and flee. This means Iran has managed to shift the psychological and military balance in the region's skies in its favor. Here, it's not just technology, but air defense authority, confidence, and internal capability that have turned Iran's skies into a forbidden zone for F-35s. To detect a target, identify it, track it, and then strike it, striking being the ultimate goal, so to speak, one must, in any case, be able to detect it. Detection is done with various radars.